Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today I'm doing my picks for week 16 of the 2021 Overwatch League season, the first weekend of the Countdown Cup. This one's going to be kind of short. I want to fly through some of these. I'm recording this quicker than usual or earlier than usual because of things. So let's just jump in and let's talk about Friday. There are two matches on Friday. First is the Dallas Fuel taking on the Paris Eternal. Two teams I think are very good. If you saw my power rankings, both these teams in the top 10. Two teams pretty close together, I think, in the kind of overall look when you think of North America. But Dallas Fuel are the better team. They looked weaker, of course, this past month with the way the meta shaped out. But I don't think it's enough for them to lose to the Eternal. So I'm going to go with the Fuel for that one. Second match on Friday is the Houston Outlaws taking on the Washington Justice. I like both of these teams. This is my big pick game, first one for this weekend. I have a lot of really great games this weekend that I could pick from, but I opted to go for this one because this to me is one of the hardest ones to pick. I don't know what Justice we're going to get. I don't know what Outlaws we're going to get. But I'm going to go with the Outlaws because I think Wrecking Ball is going to be the meta. We've seen the Outlaws try to run Wrecking Ball in the past in the June Joust. We saw Dreamer run some Wrecking Ball. We know he's with this team now, so I think it could be a good look for the Outlaws. I think they're a team that has tried to run Wrecking Ball in the Western region. Not many have, and so I'm going to go with them for this one, but I think it should be pretty close. Moving on to Saturday, the Hangzhou Spark take on the Seoul Dynasty. This one I think could be pretty good, but I do think the Seoul Dynasty are favored in this one. I think they're the better team right now. They're more consistent. They've had the more consistent results all season. They are still arguably the second best team in the APAC region. The Hangzhou Spark have looked good, but to me, they are just not quite at the level of the Seoul Dynasty. Moving on, the NYXL take on the LA Valiant. This one's not much of a game really to talk about. NYXL should take this one pretty easily. LA Valiant looking like the weakest team in the league. NYXL have dominated them every time they've played. No real surprise there. Final APAC match for Saturday is the Fusion taking on the Dragons. This is a matchup that in the past couple of months would have been pretty hyped up, but right now it just does not look very close. Dragons look to be the best team in the league. Fusion are slipping a bit. Maybe with the addition of Shockwave and maybe some things, having had some time off will help this team get a little better, but I don't see it. I think the Dragons should take this one, and I think it'll be a pretty one-sided affair. So yeah, I'm going with the Dragons for this one. Moving on to the Western region for Saturday, Boston Uprising take on the Paris Eternal. Two teams that are relatively close in the standings. I think the Eternal have looked better so far this season. The Uprising have had their success. They've had their moments, and I definitely could see this one being a really close series. I could definitely see this one going either way. But I have a little more faith in the Eternal right now. They've had more success against teams that I would deem better than what the Uprising have done so far. Uprising do have that good win against the Outlaws, but we've seen some close games for the Eternal against teams like the Gladiators and the Justice, which they did turn some of those into wins. So I think that this is a solid team. I think they should take this one. Next, Western Region game on Saturday is another doozy. It is the Atlanta Reign taking on the LA Gladiators. These two teams took or faced off in the Summer Showdown knockouts. It was close. It was a 3-2. It was a 3-2 for the Reign, and I'm going to once again go towards the Atlanta Reign. The fact that we're going to see a ton of Brigitte should actually favor the Gladiators, I think, when Skewed gets to play Brigitte. He's the best in the league. But I don't quite know if I have the conviction to go the way of the Gladiators for this one. I think it'll be very close. I think it'll be another 3-2 series, but I'm going to go with the Atlanta Reign for this one. I just think they've looked better overall, and I think they should still be able to run a lot of what they're good at. No Sigma could definitely hurt them, but they've looked good with Hawk on Diva, so I'm not too concerned. Final Western Region match for Saturday, another doozy, potentially the Dallas Fuel taking on the San Francisco Shock. It was a pretty good series last time they played with the Shock, taking the 3-1 victory, but it just hasn't quite been the Shock season so far. Maybe they do better in hero pools when the adaptability is kind of put to the test early. and they've had the time off to kind of prepare. But I just think the Fuel are too good. I think it's difficult to pick against the Fuel right now, so I'm going to go with the Fuel for this one. Moving on to Sunday, in the APAC region, the Seoul Dynasty take on the LA Valiant. Not much of a competition here. Seoul Dynasty should take this one very easily. This will be a 3-0. If it's not, I'd be surprised. Second APAC match on Sunday is the Shanghai Dragons taking on the NYXL. This is one that I would expect to be pretty one-sided. The Shanghai Dragons have not really had any difficulties with the NYXL so far this season, so I would say the Dragons take this one, probably in a 3-0 as well, but we'll see what happens, I guess. Final APAC match for the weekend is the Hangzhou Spark taking on the Philadelphia Fusion. This is my second big pick game. It may not be a game between two really good teams, but this one is difficult to pick. These two teams I think are very good. They've looked pretty similar, especially recently. They're kind of on the highs and the lows, and I think it's an interesting matchup. I am going to go the way of the Spark for this one. I think they've looked better recently than the Fusion have, but it is tough and it is close to especially pick when you have a Fusion team that has new players coming in, players we haven't seen yet. So who knows what's going to happen, but I am going to go the way of the Spark for this one. Moving on to the Western region, another great game, the Atlanta Reign taking on the Houston Outlaws. Last time these two teams played, it was a win for the Atlanta Reign. That was the first loss for the Houston Outlaws in the regular season. This is another series I think should be pretty good, should be pretty close, but the Atlanta Reign to me right now looks stronger, look better. Definitely some questions about the meta. I think Houston should be a team, of any team in the Western region, to pull out the wrecking ball and look like the most practiced. I think they are the one, based on what we saw from them back in the June Joust. But I don't know for sure yet, and really only time will tell at this point in time, so my guess is the Atlanta Reign win, but we'll see what the meta really looks like and how these Western region teams, if any of them, look on the wrecking ball. Next is the San Francisco Shock taking on the Boston Uprising. I don't think the Shock should be too worried about this one. I think it should be a pretty easy win for them. I think the Uprising are good, but I think the Shock are a better team overall. So I am going to give this one to them. Moving on to the final match of the weekend, the LA Gladiators take on the Washington Justice. Another really good match. It is absurd how great the matches are this weekend. A lot of really good teams playing, so we get some really good matches. These two teams played at the end of the Summer Showdown. It was a 3-2 win for the Washington Justice. Very close series. These are two teams very close together in the standings. And I think it'll be pretty good. I'm going to go with the Gladiators this time around. I think that the meta should be pretty good for them, especially if they can play skewed on the Brig the entire time. I think it'll play into their strengths a lot. It's kind of what we've seen in the APAC region, was a lot of Brig-based compositions, and Mercy as well, but mostly Brig. And I think that really is what the Gladiators' strengths are right now, so I think it'll be a pretty good series. I think it should be pretty close once again, but I think the edge goes to the LA Gladiators for this one. So I'm going to throw up my picks on the screen real quickly. I know this one was short. I apologize. I'm very busy right now, so this is just kind of all I can really manage for the time being, but I will hopefully be back to normal schedules somewhat soon, but there may be a bit of a break in stuff. You will know soon, but thank you all so much for your support. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, consider liking and subscribing for more like this in the future. Let me know down below your thoughts on any of the things I picked this week. So yeah, that's it for me. Thank you all once again. I hope you're all staying safe and staying healthy. And until next time, bye-bye.